Dragon's Crown.
After getting flack for its over-the-top character design and therefore making headlines around numerous video game websites, we think it's safe to say that a majority of gamers know about Dragon's Crown. And even those that don't recognize the game by its title just call it the game featuring the large-breasted witch. Usually sparks their memory. But after spending the past week and a half with it, we can safely say it's much more than that. Dragon's Crown marks a high point in side-scrolling beat-em-ups with enough depth and gameplay variety to justify some of its shortcomings. Dragon's Crown can best be described as a higher-budget retail version of the recently released arcade game Dungeons & Dragons Chronicles of Mystara. There is a plot, sure. It involves the titular Dragon's Crown, searching for it and making sure it doesn't fall into the wrong hands. The narrator is there every step of the way, letting you know what's going on and where you need to go, arguably sometimes to a fault. Combat is kept relatively simple, akin to Vanillaware's Muramasa's Rebirth, where your attack button is also responsible for blocking, as well as executing upward and downward thrusts with the help of a direction button. It's quite surprising, given how supple the control scheme is, that every character controls radically differently. Each character also has specific moves and traits related to their class. The fighter, Amazon, and dwarf will smash their weapon into the ground, hitting enemies around them, while the witch and wizard will cast various ice and fire spells respectively, depending on which direction is pressed. The elf, on the other hand, uses her special attack to utilize her main weapon, the bow, making her arguably one of the hardest classes to play. Leveling up your character will come with skill points that you can spend in a class-specific tree or a common tree. Class trees will let you strengthen each character's unique attacks, as well as learn some new and useful ones, while the common tree is used to raise health, reduce cooldown of items, increase item slots, and more. Following you around every step of the way is the rogue Ranny. Using his thieving skills, he'll be able to bust any locked chest or door, as well as pick up any leftover treasure not picked up by anyone else. Ranny must be ordered to open each one with a tap on the Vita screen or with a cursor using the right analog stick. This mechanic is a little out of place here, especially given the fast-paced nature of combat. Dragon's Crown is primarily built on not letting you play by yourself. You'll always be accompanied by various NPCs. As you run through dungeons, you'll pick up bone remains. These can be used to erect fallen warriors. Much like loot, you'll be going through companions relatively quickly, as they don't level up with you. Even if you don't opt to take any of these NPCs along into a dungeon with you, they'll randomly join in at various parts of each run. When you're not dungeon raiding, you'll be spending your time in the town, which is home to various facilities like the temple, which lets you resurrect NPCs and pray for various boons, magic shop, which allows you to buy, sell, and appraise items, and an adventurer's guild, which lets you partake in various secondary quests such as slaying a certain number of beasts, collecting certain items, and more. It provides more reason to revisit past stages that you've already beaten, just to get that extra gold and experience. Where Dragon's Crown starts to sag is after you beat the game's 9 stages the first time around. Sure, it opens up alternate paths, essentially doubling the amount of stages available, except to actually succeed in those, you have to be a certain level. That means you'll be grinding out the original 9 levels over and over until you get enough experience to level up so you can take on the boss of the alternate path. Despite this, the game is smart about it by letting you chain stages together for boosted rewards, such as more gold or a higher score, which converts to XP. For those that despise grinding, you'll certainly be quite put off by this design. There's no denying that Dragon's Crown is a gorgeous game. Odin's Sphere and Muramasa were gorgeous games back in the day, but DC pushes that graphical fidelity to new heights. Every character and enemy is meticulously detailed, down to their idle animations. We're giving Dragon's Crown an 8.5. Despite its rather repetitive nature, Dragon's Crown is an absolute blast, especially if you play with friends or venture online. Calling the game eye candy would certainly be an understatement, as this is Vanillaware's best-looking title to date. If you don't mind the grind and enjoy classic beat-em-ups with some heavy RPG elements, Dragon's Crown deserves your attention. For the latest in gaming news, reviews, tips, cheats, and more, be sure to visit GameZone.com. Thanks for watching.